All right, so we're diving into some pretty fascinating territory today with this idea of moksha. And we've got a whole bunch of sources here, ancient texts and even like some modern takes on this whole idea of achieving liberation.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really cool if we could like unpack what it really means to actually achieve that, not just like theoretically, but like in our actual lives, especially in this crazy digital age.
I think what's interesting about moksha is it's not like a passive state of bliss you just like stumble upon. It's an active pursuit. It's a transformation. And it challenges us to like look beyond the illusions that bind us to suffering in the first place.
When I first like heard about moksha, I pictured it as like this, escape from reality, like almost like turning off like all the drama in life.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is it's more about like engaging with reality, but on like a deeper level or something.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Imagine being so caught up in a movie that you forget it's just a projection on a screen, right? Moksha is like waking up and realizing that we're not just the characters in the story, we're also the awareness that experiences it all.
So instead of like running away from reality, it's more about seeing through the illusion.
Yes.
That Maya.
Precisely.
It's the true nature of how things actually are.
Yeah, and that's where this concept of Brahman comes in, which is this ultimate reality, like the ground of all being from which everything arises.
Okay. So we're talking of like a pretty huge shift in perspective here.
Yeah.
But how does this whole idea of liberation differ between different traditions?
Yeah.
We have sources on Hinduism.
You've hit a key point there. The desire for liberation it seems like a very universal human concept.
Yeah.
But the paths and even like the ultimate destination that you reach can really vary.
Okay.
In Hinduism, for instance, moksha is often described as the union of the individual soul, the Atman, with Brahman.
Yeah.
So it's about realizing that there is an inherent oneness to all things.
Okay, and what about in Buddhism?
Buddhism really emphasizes nirvana, which is about extinguishing the flames of suffering by recognizing that everything is impermanent,
Okay.
including our sense of self.
So both moksha and nirvana are pointing towards this idea of liberation.
Yes.
But they have different nuances.
Absolutely.
One focuses on merging with the ultimate reality, and the other one is about transcending the illusion of like a separate self.
Precisely. And these distinctions are reflected in the paths that each tradition lays out.
Okay.
So Hinduism, for example, has a really fascinating array of approaches called yogas.
Ah, the yogas. So I think there are 4 main paths, right?
You got it. There are 4 main paths, each of which cater to a different type of personality or inclination.
Interesting.
So let's take karma yoga, for instance.
Okay.
Karma yoga is all about selfless action,
Okay.
performing your duty, but without attachment to the results of your labor.
Oh, wow.
It's about offering your actions as a form of worship, purifying your intentions.
So it's not just about what you do, but like the motivation behind it.
Yeah.
Like a doctor, for example. A doctor who's motivated by genuine compassion versus, one that's motivated by ego or like financial gain.
Exactly. You're aligning your actions with a higher purpose.
Right.
You're recognizing that even seemingly mundane tasks can be a path to liberation if you're doing them with the right attitude.
That's a pretty powerful way to look at like everyday life.
Yeah.
But what about for the people that are more drawn to like an emotional connection or devotion?
Yeah.
Is there a path in Hinduism for those types of folks?
Yeah, that's where bhakti yoga comes in, which is the path of devotion.
Okay.
So imagine channeling all of your love and all of your longing towards like a personal deity or some kind of divine concept. It's about surrendering to something greater than yourself and experiencing the bliss of union through that love and surrender.
So it's like those really amazing moments like when you're listening to music.
Yeah.
Or you're looking at a beautiful piece of art and you feel like totally lost in it.
Exactly.
And connected to something bigger than yourself.
Bhakti yoga wants to cultivate that state of ecstatic union through practices like chanting, singing hymns, and rituals, which deepen that connection to the divine.
Okay, so we have selfless action, we have devotion.
Yeah.
What other paths are out there?
Well, for people who are more inclined towards mental discipline and self-control, there's Raja Yoga,
Okay.
often called the royal path to moksha.
I like that. The royal path.
It's a very systematic approach that involves ethical guidelines, physical postures, like the yoga we know today, breath control, and deep meditation.
So it's like training your mind to be like this powerful instrument for exploring spirituality.
Precisely. The goal is to achieve samadhi, which is a state of profound concentration, where the mind can transcend its usual chatter and merge with pure awareness. It's about stilling the waves of thought to experience the depths of consciousness.
Okay, so that's 3 paths: karma, bhakti, and Raja Yoga.
Yeah.
What's the 4th one?
The 4th path is Jnana Yoga,
Okay.
the path of knowledge, and this one is for the intellectually curious folks. The ones who love delving into philosophical texts and just contemplating the nature of reality.
Right.
It's about using your intellect to discern what's real from what's not real,
Okay.
and ultimately gaining self-knowledge and realizing your true nature.
So instead of like physical postures or devotional practices, you're using like the power of your mind to kind of deconstruct these illusions that are holding us back.
Exactly. It's about piercing the veils of Maya, recognizing that our perceptions are limited,
Okay.
and realizing that your true identity is pure consciousness as Brahman.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
These paths are all so unique and different, but they all seem to point to this awakening to our true nature.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's like climbing a mountain. There are multiple trails, and each one has its challenges and rewards.
Right.
But ultimately, the summit offers that same breathtaking view.
I love that.
And what's amazing is you don't have to just pick one.
Oh, you mean you can kind of like mix and match,
You got
like create your own little spiritual playlist?
Yeah, you can draw from all the different yogas, adapt them to your personality, and find what really resonates with you.
Okay. So the journey then becomes about self-discovery
Yes,
and what works for you.
exactly. And that brings up a key principle in the pursuit of moksha, and that is self-awareness.
Okay.
It's about understanding your own tendencies, your strengths, and weaknesses,
Uh-huh.
and using that knowledge to choose practices that will support your unique journey.
That's great because it takes the pressure off of trying to find like the one right path.
Exactly.
And it allows for like a more personalized approach.
Absolutely. It's about taking ownership of your spiritual growth,
I love that.
becoming the architect of your own liberation.
Okay, but how does this actually work in the real world?
Yeah.
Especially in like this modern digital age that we're all living in.
That's where it gets really interesting, because even though these concepts originated thousands of years ago, they're so relevant to the complexities of life today.
Okay, I'm all ears. How do we bridge that gap?
Okay, so think about the challenges we face today. Information overload,
Yes,
constant distractions,
absolutely.
the pressure to be constantly connected.
It never ends.
Right. All of these are forms of Maya, illusions, that pull us away from who we really are.
So we're living in this like hyper-stimulating world where we're constantly bombarded by inputs, and it just keeps us trapped in this cycle of craving and dissatisfaction.
Precisely. And that's where the principles of moksha become so valuable.
Okay.
Because they give us a framework for understanding these challenges
Yes.
and navigating them with more awareness and intention.
So it's not about rejecting technology
Yeah.
or like running away from the world.
Not at all.
It's about engaging with it all mindfully.
Yeah.
Using technology as like a tool for our liberation.
Exactly. The digital age presents these unique challenges, but also incredible opportunities, and it's up to us to cultivate the discernment to harness that power for good.
Right, for our own spiritual growth and for the well-being of the whole world.
Yes, this is just scratching the surface of moksha. There's so much more to uncover,
Yeah.
from its modern interpretations to the practical tools it offers for navigating this digital landscape that we're in.
Okay, so I'm ready to dive deeper.
All right, well, stay tuned,
Yes.
because next time we'll explore how moksha is being integrated into modern psychology,
Okay.
holistic well-being practices, and even the world of technology.
Interesting.
We'll unpack how this ancient wisdom is finding new expression in the modern world.
This is so cool. It feels like this moksha adventure is just getting started.
It is. Welcome back to our exploration of moksha.
So in the last part, we were talking about moksha as this like ultimate state of liberation.
Yeah.
You know, this awakening to like our true nature. But how does that translate to everyday life, especially in a world that's like constantly vying for our attention?
That's a great question, and it's something that a lot of modern thinkers and practitioners are really grappling with,
Yeah.
And one of the most fascinating developments, I think, is the integration of moksha with, like, modern psychology, particularly the concept of self-actualization.
Self-actualization. So like the drive to kind of fulfill our potential,
Right.
become the best versions of ourselves.
Yeah,
I can kind of see a connection there. But how does that tie in with moksha,
right.
which is often described as this state of transcendence
Yeah.
going beyond the self?
It's a subtle connection, but it's a really profound one.
Okay.
Think about it this way. In order to really fulfill our potential,
Yeah.
to self-actualize, we need to understand who we truly are.
Uh-huh.
Beyond the masks we wear, the roles we play.
Right.
We need to shed those layers of conditioning and societal expectations
Yeah.
that cloud our perception of ourselves.
So in a way, self-actualization is about like peeling back those layers.
Yes.
Those illusions that are keeping us from seeing our true nature.
Exactly.
Which aligns perfectly with moksha.
On both paths, in their own way, encourage us to embark on this journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
Questioning our assumptions, breaking free from the limitations that we impose upon ourselves.
That's pretty cool. So it's like these ancient teachings are giving us a roadmap for like personal growth and fulfillment, even within like the context of modern psychology.
And it's not just happening in the realm of psychology.
Oh, really?
Moksha is also finding its way into the world of like holistic well-being and mental health.
That makes sense because the principles of moksha,
Right.
Like detachment, self-awareness, inner peace,
Yeah.
those things all seem like they'd be super beneficial for navigating the stresses and anxieties of modern life.
Absolutely. Practices like yoga and meditation, which have their roots in the pursuit of moksha,
Right.
they're now being widely recognized for their ability to reduce stress,
Yeah.
improve focus, and promote just overall well-being.
It seems like there's even a lot of scientific research now that supports the effectiveness of these practices for managing mental health challenges.
It's like science is catching up with ancient wisdom,
Yeah.
validating the profound impact these practices can have on our minds and bodies.
Yeah. So it's not just about like individual well-being.
Right.
It sounds like the principles of moksha are also being applied to create like more harmonious and compassionate communities.
Yeah, for example, think about workplaces that really prioritize mindfulness,
Okay. Yeah.
that encourage employees to cultivate self-awareness,
Yeah.
treat each other with like kindness and respect.
That sounds amazing.
Right.
It's like bringing that moksha spirit into our everyday interactions,
Yes.
creating a more like peaceful and fulfilling environment for everybody.
And that's the beauty of these teachings. They're not confined to like monasteries or ashrams.
Right.
They can be woven into the fabric of our modern lives.
Yeah.
Transforming the way we interact with ourselves, with each other, and with the world around us.
Okay. But there's one big elephant in the room here.
What's that?
The digital world.
Okay.
How does the pursuit of moksha, this quest for liberation, even make sense?
Right.
In a world that's constantly bombarding us with information, notifications, and this pressure to be constantly connected.
That is the million-dollar question.
It is.
And the truth is the digital age presents both these unique challenges and incredible opportunities
Okay.
for anyone seeking moksha.
Okay, so let's start with the challenges. I mean, it's hard enough to find peace and quiet in our own minds,
Right.
let alone when we're constantly being bombarded with, notifications, news feeds, and the pressure to be connected 24/7.
You're absolutely right. The digital world can easily become like another layer of Maya, a seductive web of distractions that keeps us from connecting with who we really are.
It's true.
Think about social media, for instance,
Oh, yeah.
which often fuels comparison FOMO and a sense of inadequacy,
Absolutely.
and it pulls us away from the present moment,
Right.
from our inner peace,
Yeah.
and from the practices that really nurture our spiritual growth.
It's like we're constantly being pulled in a million different directions.
Yes.
Never fully present, never fully grounded.
And that's why it's so important to cultivate this digital mindfulness,
Okay.
to be aware of how we're actually engaging with technology and make conscious choices that align with our values and our well-being.
So it's like finding that digital detox sweet spot
Yeah.
where we're using technology as a tool, but not letting it run our lives.
Exactly. Being conscious consumers of information, curating our online experiences, and using technology to support our spiritual growth instead of hindering it.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the opportunities? How can the digital age actually support our pursuit of moksha?
Well, we have access to a wealth of knowledge and teachings and practices that were previously unavailable to most people.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We can connect with spiritual teachers from all over the world.
That's cool.
We can join these online communities of like-minded seekers and find resources that really support our individual path.
It's like having a global spiritual library
Exactly.
right at our fingertips.
And don't forget the power of digital tools for like cultivating mindfulness and meditation.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many apps, guided meditations, and online resources
Right.
that can help us bring these practices into our daily lives, even if we only have a few minutes to spare.
So instead of looking at technology as like the enemy, we can actually use it to deepen our spiritual practice.
Yes.
And support our journey toward moksha.
It's all about using the power of technology for good
Yeah.
to create a more mindful, compassionate, and connected world.
And what's really interesting is that the source material you brought actually has some self-evaluation tests in it
It does.
that can help you gauge your level of awareness and spiritual progress in this digital age.
That's right.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Self-evaluation tests for moksha in the digital age. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, one of the tests focuses on how we perceive reality in this age of information overload.
Okay.
It asks questions like, do you feel overwhelmed by the constant influx of information?
Yeah.
Do you find it challenging to distinguish between what's truly important and what's just noise?
Those are some really good questions. I think most of us can relate to feeling overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information that we encounter every single day.
Absolutely. And the test is designed to help us become more aware of how this information overload might be impacting our ability to connect with our inner peace, with that deeper sense of self that moksha points towards.
So it's like a wake-up call to be more discerning about what we're consuming,
Yes.
both online and offline,
Yes.
to create space for silence and reflection in a world that's constantly vying for our attention.
There's another test that delves into our relationship with technology
Okay.
and how it might be affecting our spiritual growth.
Okay.
And it asks questions like, do you find yourself constantly checking your phone, even when you're with loved ones?
Oh, those are some tough questions.
Yeah.
But so important to ask ourselves,
That's sweet.
especially in a culture that often glorifies busyness and constant connectivity.
And the goal isn't to demonize technology or make us feel bad about our digital habits,
Yeah.
but to really encourage us to examine our relationship with these tools
Yeah.
and make conscious choices that support our well-being and our spiritual growth.
I like that. So it's like an invitation to be more mindful of how we engage with the digital world,
Yeah.
to use it as a tool for our own liberation,
Exactly.
rather than letting it become another obstacle in our path.
And that brings us to, like, the heart of what moksha is all about.
Okay.
It's not about escaping the world or rejecting technology.
Right.
It's about transforming our relationship with it, finding that balance where we can use its power for good without losing ourselves in the process.
So these self-evaluation tests can be like really powerful tools for reflection and growth,
They can.
helping us to navigate these challenges and opportunities of seeking moksha in the digital age.
They remind us that the pursuit of moksha isn't just this abstract concept, reserved for monks and mystics.
Yep.
It's a living, breathing journey that unfolds in the messy reality of our everyday lives, even amidst all this technology.
This has been such an amazing exploration. We've gone from the ancient roots of moksha to its modern interpretations, from the challenges of the digital age to the incredible opportunities that it presents.
It has.
But I'm curious, what else is there to discover? What other insights and surprises await us as we continue this deep dive?
Well, in our final segment, we'll kind of bring it all together.
Okay.
We'll weave these threads of ancient wisdom and modern insights into a tapestry of understanding.
Okay.
We'll recap the key takeaways from our exploration of moksha.
Uh-huh.
And most importantly, we'll leave you with some thought-provoking questions to ponder
Cool.
as you continue your own journey toward liberation and fulfillment.
I can't wait. It feels like this moksha adventure is just getting started.
It is.
Welcome back to our deep dive on moksha. It's really amazing how much we've covered.
Yeah, it really speaks to how much these concepts still matter even today,
Yeah, it feels like we've been given this whole new way of looking at life,
Yeah.
like a new set of tools to navigate, all the complexities of being human.
That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up this whole deep dive, let's take a minute to connect the dots and bring it all together.
Okay.
Remember that stack of sources you brought, all those ancient scriptures and philosophical treatises, and even those self-evaluation tests?
Yeah, it's amazing how much wisdom and insight we've squeezed out of those different sources.
And it all points to this one fundamental truth.
Yeah.
We're not just physical beings stuck in a material world.
Right.
We're also spiritual beings capable of experiencing liberation and interconnectedness.
We talked about those two powerful ideas.
Right.
Moksha in Hinduism, that state of merging with the ultimate reality, Brahman,
Yeah.
and Nirvana in Buddhism, the cessation of suffering through recognizing that everything changes and transcending the ego.
And even though the language and approaches might be different, both traditions are ultimately guiding us towards a big shift in perspective.
Yeah.
A liberation from the illusions that keep us bound to suffering.
I'm remembering all those different paths from the yogas.
Yeah.
Karma yoga with its focus on selfless action. Bhakti yoga with devotion and surrender.
Yeah.
Raja yoga that systematic approach to mental discipline,
Right.
and Jnana Yoga, that pursuit of knowledge and self-realization.
Each one offering a unique way to approach the journey,
Yeah.
catering to different personalities and inclinations.
And what's so cool is we're not limited to just one path.
Yeah.
We can draw inspiration and practices from multiple traditions
Right.
and create our own unique spiritual tapestry.
It's like a buffet of spiritual practices.
I like that.
You can sample different flavors, find what really nourishes you,
Right.
and create a personalized approach to liberation.
And we also talked about Dharma, Artha, and Kama, those 3 pillars of a balanced life.
Yeah.
Dharma reminding us to live with integrity and purpose.
Yeah.
Artha encouraging us to go after material prosperity, but ethically and responsibly.
Okay.
And Kama reminding us to embrace the beauty and joy of life's experiences.
It's like a recipe for a good life.
Yeah.
A framework for living in harmony with ourselves, with others, and with the world around us.
And when we explored the modern take on moksha, it's surprising how relevant those ancient principles are to our lives today.
Yeah.
The pursuit of self-actualization,
Mhm.
the focus on holistic well-being, and even the mindful use of technology.
Right.
It all points back to this timeless desire for liberation and fulfillment.
And remember those self-evaluation tests.
Oh yeah, those are really eye-opening.
Yeah.
They made me think a lot about how I'm using this digital age, how to cultivate more mindfulness and intention in a world that wants my attention all the time.
They remind us that seeking moksha isn't some abstract concept for like monks and mystics, you know?
Yeah.
It's a real journey that unfolds in the messiness of our everyday lives.
Right. It's about making those conscious choices day by day
Yeah.
that align with our deepest values and aspirations, even in the middle of this fast-paced, tech-driven world.
And that leads us to a really important question for you to think about as we wrap up this deep dive.
Okay, I'm ready for the challenge. What is it?
Thinking about everything we've talked about, what does moksha mean to you personally?
Oh, wow.
How do you see this idea of liberation playing out in your own life, in your relationships,
Yeah.
in your work, and even in how you interact with the digital world?
That's such a powerful question. It takes us beyond just understanding it intellectually
Yeah.
to actually living these principles and making them real in our own unique way.
The journey towards moksha is so personal. You know,
Yeah.
there's no one right way to do it.
Yeah.
It's about listening to your own inner wisdom,
Uh-huh.
exploring different practices,
Yeah.
and finding what truly speaks to your soul.
And we can't forget, the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Right.
Every step you take, every insight you have, every act of kindness you offer, all of that contributes to your spiritual growth and brings you closer to that state of liberation, inner peace, and fulfillment that we've been talking about.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into moksha.
Yeah, this is great.
I hope it inspires you to keep seeking, keep growing, and discover your own unique path to liberation.
Until next time, keep diving deep.